aka YNOT Cast, one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS recap where we're going to be breaking down all of the action that literally just went down over the weekend for your HCS Open. Why don't we get right into it, and let's talk about Optic Gaming going up against 6'8". Who's 6? I wonder who on this. I'd say right now, Psycho and Frosty ain't 6'8". Syrians are too young to be 6'8". He's like, what, like 15 years old max. I guess Little Gators might be the same. Who's 6'8" on this roster? I don't know. But you have a mixture of Shopify Rebellion and two top amateur players that came together and made it deep in the winners bracket. Frosty and Psycho said, hey, we can do it with anybody on our team. And it was a great test for them and a great opportunity for the young Syrian and Little Gators. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Optical Gaming bound Renegade, Legend, and Formal. The team that went back-to-back on land did it from lower bracket round number 1, which is crazy to say. Also, the organization that just won COD Champs, congratulations, Optic Gaming. You already know Big Daddy Shotzi came in and laid down the law. And of course, the team in Halo that somehow seems to get better and better every time we see them. Optic Gaming pull off the 3-0 against the 6'8". Can't really say we're too surprised there, although we see Psycho and Frosty, two top amateur players, going up against Optic Gaming. That sounds really tough. And ultimately, 6'8" would be dropped down. Mind you, Optic had to beat Complexity in order to get there. No real surprise there, I would say. Meanwhile, 6'8" did upset Envy, which was surprising to say. You know, Envy, obviously a very good professional team, weren't able to get through the combination of two top amateur players and two of some of the best players in the world, might add. Next, we'll scroll down to SSG versus Cloud9. SSG went up against TSM. No real surprise on that win. I don't think SSG started off, hitting the gate running. I think SSG kind of had a slow start to get to where ultimately they want to be. But I will say they still were always, top 4 best team in the world regardless, even though they obviously want more. They want to be top 3. They want to be top 2. They want to win championships. I do think they still, no matter what, we're just a tier above TSM. Never will count TSM out, but definitely won't do the same for SSG, who pull off the 3-0. Meanwhile, Cloud9 pulling off an upset of their own, taking down FaZe. Cloud9 coming in Game 5, going at FaZe. When you looked at the battle between FaZe and SSG, which quickly, obviously became a rivalry with all of the outside chatter that was going down between all of the players on the roster, it seemed like FaZe kind of came out on a little bit of a better footing than SSG. It looked better off of the start. Well, now with SSG kind of playing the way they are, maybe this might flip around and we might have ourselves a battle, especially when we get to LAN and get to SLC. But that left Cloud9 and SSG going at it, and Cloud9 not only upsetting FaZe, but also doing the same to Space Station Gaming. Cloud9 joining Optic Gaming in your winners bracket finals. And I'm not sure a lot of people had that, but I keep saying, since bringing on Collect to the roster, by the way, we'll show that SSG roster as well, just in case you guys forgot, Eco, Suppress, Falcon, and Stellar. But since bringing Collect onto the Cloud9 roster, Cloud9 have gotten a huge buff. We've seen feats from Cloud9 in early 2025 and even to mid-2025, when I think back at them making top 4 in one of the first Open Series events, which was huge for them. I think of them taking that original Space Station Gaming roster to a Game 5 right before Championship Sunday, almost taking their spot. I think of some feats that were made by Cloud9, but this, again, since bringing on Collect, I feel like they're ultimately starting to look like the team that we wanted them to look like. Advocacy has been really a good addition as well, and of course, Boo Boo Dubu and Sab have been there since the beginning of 2025, and they have looked great. Cloud9 make it to the winners bracket finals, where they would go up against Optical Game. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Where they would go up against Optical Gaming, and Optic would then 3-0 them and send them down to the lower bracket really quick. I mean, it's Optic Gaming. again, not only the best team in the world, but somehow seemingly getting better over time, which is so scary to say. Optic Gaming are your favorites to win as they make it into the grand finals, and we get to see who makes it out. SSG did pull off a good win against Envy. Meanwhile, FaZe got their win against 6-8. That was that team with Psycho Frosty, Serena Little Gators, and we do see FaZe and SSG going at it because of that, and it would be Space Station Gaming. They come off not only with the win, but a 3-0. Again, we said that FaZe looked better in the beginning of that transaction between, I guess, the trade of players from FaZe to SSG and vice versa. But SSG, despite struggling early on, they've been hitting the ground running recently, or they've been really just kind of just punching, hitting hard, breaking walls. And I think this right here is a huge step in the right direction. It definitely proves that they are the real deal, and maybe, just maybe, they could take down FaZe consistently. Well, it starts with a 3-0, and then it could go to more after that. Congratulations, SSG, for a huge win. FaZe are going to be hitting the drawing board and trying to figure out what they could do to just make that a little bit better. I mean, Envy beating Complexity was a pretty good win. I think Complexity have been really, really good recently, especially just bringing on YNOT to the roster. They've been extremely good, so I think that's worth kind of talking about. Envy moving on in the earlier rounds, and I'll check FaZe beating TSM. I like TSM a lot. I don't like them more than FaZe or SSG, so I'm not really exactly surprised that TSM ended up getting knocked out by both of them, but hey, it never count anybody out, and that brings us into the lower bracket finals, eventually where Space Station Gaming would then 3-1 Cloud9. Mind you, Cloud9, the very team that 3-1 SSG to knock them down in the lower bracket to begin with, upset both FaZe and SSG, while on Championship Sunday in the elimination bracket finals where it matters most, the best of the best just tend to step up, and that's exactly what Space Station Gaming did. SSG 3-1 Cloud9 on their way to the grand finals, and eventually would go up against Optic Gaming, and maybe, just maybe, take game one, but Optic Gaming would then go and take 3 in a row to become your champions. Optic Gaming, who didn't even have to play in the open series, so I think their spot is already solidified in pool play as the #1 seed going into SLC. They came into the open series just to show everybody who they were. Want to make sure that everybody knew that they were top dog, and in this open series they pull off the 3-1. Mind you, the same tournament that involved FaZe, that involved SSG, involved 2 members of Shopify Rebellion, but not exactly the full team. Would have loved to see them signed up if ultimately everybody else was, to be honest with you. But Optic Gaming are your champions, and SSG second place. And excited to see where this goes on into Pro League, because mind you, the LVT Halo Pro League, partnered with Shopify Rebellion, starts actually today, Monday. I think you guys see this probably yesterday, Monday. So that's going to be really exciting, because we get to see Optic Gaming again. We saw them against Space Station Gaming. We get to see them against FaZe in the first matchup, which is going to be a best of 7, different than the open series, which normally is a best of 5 series. So that's going to be really exciting to see. Guys, if you're watching this on Twitch, what up? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. The Veer Box, I'm doing well. How are you? If you're watching this on the YouTube, you already know. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment down below, all that good stuff that interacts with the algorithm and force it to push it out to more people that might enjoy this type of content, and I get rich off of it. I'm broke. I need the money. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.